Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know wherever you are. Today I want to have I want to show you a short tutorial on how you can test your gRPC services using a GUI tool called Fint. And for this tutorial, we'll be using the gRPC sample server provided from the gRPC website, which you're looking at right now. Here they have this link over here, the root guide application. If you click on that link, it will take you to GitHub where you'll have the C# code for that server. So so go and download that code and then include it in your installation in your Visual Studio project, and then just run it. So now I've done that, and as you can see here, I have my root guide service, and I have that code over here, the server, the client, and then the root guide library. And okay, so let's go start this service so that we can start testing it with Fint. Okay, now it's starting up. Let's just wait for it. Okay, now it says the service is running on port 5052, and also note that on this service the server reflection is enabled, and this is important because later on we're going to use this reflection service to discover it using the Fint. And the Fint, the tool that I'm talking about, you can go download it from bytesmotion.com, and here just click on this download the Fint button, or you can also grab the free community edition. So I've downloaded Fint and ran the installer, and here is what I have. So I have so we can see from over here it has service clients. You can do tests with it. You can combine those tests into a test set, and then you can also do performance tests. But for this video, we're going to try out only the service clients part. Okay, so it tells me that I haven't created any client, and I should click plus to create one. So let's do that. Right, so now I have this dialog here where I can create a client, and let's see, client type is gRPC. That is correct. Just to expand that, we can see that it also supports REST and also supports WCF. We'll look into that at a later time. So now we'll just use gRPC and select reflection service, because I've mentioned I have a reflection service running on that root guide application. So we know it's running on port 5052. Yep, 5052. So let's enter that, localhost 5052. And let's click the arrow over here and see that Fint has found the root guide service and also that reflection service. So it suggested a name, root guide client, and the address is there, and of course it has a short description, and then you can always edit that description. Alright, so let's click go, and let's wait for Fint to create the client based on that gRPC reflection service. Okay, so there it is, and let's see what it has. So here there are buttons here. I can open it, or I can open it in a new window. I can make it a favorite. Of course I can delete it, but let's open it in this current window. And there we go. So we have the root guide client on the left panel, the service client panel over here. So we have the root guide client, and in that client it has found a method called getFeature, and there's another one called getFeatureAsync, and then there is list features, record root, and root chat. And let's someone is knocking on the door. Okay, and okay, let's have a look at the protobuf file for that. So root guide. Uh, yep. Okay, now it's open. So let's see whether what Fint has over here matches up with the root guide service protobuf file. So let's see. So we have the root guide, a service, and it has a method called getFeature. and which is a Unary call, so it's a simple RPC, request and response. And then there's this list features, which is a server to client, as you can see here, because it returns you a stream of features. So the server is going to return stream of features. And there's a record route function, which is a client to server. So this is the client that's going to stream a request points, and then also there's a root chat application where the client can stream this root nodes, and then the server can also send back a response of root nodes. Right, so we have four methods, and in Fint we have 5 methods. That would be because the C# client, which this tool is built on C#, whenever there's a unary call, it generates 2 types of methods. One is the synchronous one, and then the asynchronous version, which has this async at the end, attached to the appended to the end of the method. So we have this get feature async. That's why we have 5. Okay, so for this tutorial, we'll just try out the unary call method. So the get feature or the get feature async. Okay, so now that we have the client, as you can see here on the request panel, now it has created for me an instance of the request. So it just has default values. So we can see the request is of type point, and it has these 2 properties, latitude and longitude. And that is exactly here on the get feature. We know that it accepts a request of type point, and the type point here has these 2 properties, latitude and longitude, 2 integer values. And that's what we see over here in Fint. So latitude is an int, and if I click on this editor from Fint knows that it's an integer, so it will only allow you to enter integer values over here. And then longitude as well, so it's integer, so you can enter values over there too. Let's try out and make a call to the service, and let's see. Okay, so now we call the service, you see that, and then we have a response. The response is a location type point as well, and this is the one we sent, so we know that these are not valid latitude longitude values, so it didn't find anything. The name is empty over here. And if you look at the bottom part, you can see that this call to get feature took 89 milliseconds. And let's try that again, call that again, and now on the second call it's only took 17 milliseconds. So this is typical of services, WCF or REST service. The initial call is always slow because it needs to do some initialization, but the subsequent calls are much faster. And also we can click on this tab, the charts tab over here. It has a nifty chart that shows you the response time of each call. So let's call that again so that you can see it in action. Yep, third call is 22 milliseconds, fourth call is 16 milliseconds. Okay, and let's try it out with the valid values. So let's look at the client application that they had, and let's try out this feature, get feature. So I can enter that over here. That's the latitude, and then this is the longitude value. Like that, and then let's click run. Yep, and the return value for that is Berkshire Valley Management Area. Okay, we know that. So now we know that the server works fine, and we can call it just fine. Let's call that again. Yeah, there's second one is really fast. Now it's 3.6 milliseconds. Yeah, so for the other parameters of the method, so we know that there's a request. There's also headers. So in gRPC, you can send metadata along with your request, and these are just key value pairs. So just let's look at that. Let's say one. Let's just make one, and here you can also send some key value pairs. Here you can enter whatever my key. Oops. My key. My value. And you can send that, or you can define also a deadline. Then there's this also calendar over here, and you can choose the time for the deadline. So these headers, deadline, of course, this cancellation token, these are optional parameters. It would depend on the server. So in our example, the root guide service doesn't use this header, so we don't need to enter anything over here. But I can still send that of course. All right. So another way of entering values, you can see here, this using this object editor. But there's another way of entering that. You can click on this view as JSON. So this button toggles between JSON and tree view. But when you have it in JSON, if you're that user who likes to, you're the more advanced user, and you'd like to directly edit the values and not use the object editor provided by Fint, you can always switch to the JSON view and then manually enter this request values, latitude and longitude values. Let's try out some other values. I know there's a JSON database over here that's being used, so let's try out some. Let's try this one. And just copy and paste that, and then let's see the longitude value. Copy that, and then we should expect to get a response Patriots path mandem. Copy that. Oops, I did not copy properly. Okay, so now that is copied, and let's hit run. So you can hit this lightning button over here, or there's another one on the upper left, the bigger button. Let's try out this one. Okay, so yep, so that request was sent, and now we get back this Patriots path mandem nj USA. So that's exactly what's in the in that JSON database. So it works out really fine. Okay, that's it. So thanks, guys. I hope you learned something new today. And yeah, just go try out Fint. I'll add the link to the BiceMotion website on the description of this video. Thanks, and see you again next time.